Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
This podcast is for you. So if you have a retirement question you'd like us to address, reach out to us online anytime at matsonfinancial.com. Let's face it is easy to make mistakes whenever you're planning for retirement. After all, you're going through this for the first time. But a new Charles Schwab survey says there are 4 in particular that retirees are making this year. So I thought we'd address these head on because I think they're onto something here for sure. And number 1 is probably one that we make in any year, honestly, and that is just misjudging how much we'll need. Now, they say that workers actually this year expect to retire at age 66, and the number that we tend to have in our heads this year to retire is somewhere around 1.6 million. I don't know where we come up with these numbers sometimes in these surveys, but 1.6 million seems a little high for some, probably maybe a little low for others.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that there's an advisor that I've known since I started in this business. In fact, him and I shared an office for 8 years. Now, as he's kind of winding down his and of course, our business, he came by and said, yeah, I want to sit down and talk with you. Okay. And I go, okay. He's a little bit younger, and he says, I've got 5 to 7 more years in this industry, and he says, I want to know what you did differently than what I did. Huh. I go, what do you mean? He says, well, we both started the same place, but you're at a totally different place than I am as an advisor. And I explained to him that he'd been doing the same thing for the last 30 years, talking to people, going in their homes, selling them life insurance, selling them an annuity, and leaving. And I said, we took that information and built upon it, so when the client would ask us a question, we would fulfill that need. Mm-hmm. So it came up about taxes, it came up about Medicare, it came up about what about long-term care, what about investing outside of stocks and bonds. And so he took our book and he's reading that, but once again, number 1 is don't do the same thing for the last 30 years. And that's, again, what you're talking about with number 1.
Yeah, misjudging how much you'll need. Let's face it, many retirees underestimate because they don't adjust for inflation. And guys, I have seen the plans of other advisors when, individuals come into the office, they're getting that second opinion, wondering if it's right. And I see Social Security never changing every single year, right? I don't see their income goal adjusting every single year because we also need to look out for healthcare, housing, food costs. I mean, all these things can potentially rise much faster. So that means we need to make sure we have inflation-adjusted projections and tax impact scenarios in every single client plan, and it needs to be flexible, right? Because even if you save enough, required minimum distributions, which start at age 73, can force more taxable income than you need to spend, and that impacts Medicare premiums and Social Security taxation. So we really hone in on this, make sure we run those inflation-adjusted projections and tax impact scenarios so clients see the real picture of how their money lasts after taxes, after investment fees, so they have the confidence in their plan.
Don't get us wrong. We're not trying to scare you. We're trying to say to you, you need the information, the correct information to make sure your plan works all the way through. So once again, that's why it's so important to have somebody that's versed in this, not a fiduciary that just does one thing, but a fiduciary that looks at the total plan. Mm-hmm. Let's face it, if you're going to build a house, you wouldn't just hire a roofer. And that may be a great thing that you need a really good roofer because you don't want the water and wind and all those coming in. You want a complete package. And that's why you need different types of contractors that specialize in different areas. That's what we bring to your project called retirement.
That leads very nicely to number 2 on this list, which is not sufficiently diversifying your retirement savings. I would say if you just simply have someone selling you one product, one solution, that's kind of your red flag that you're not working with that fiduciary advisor.
Yeah, we talk about a lot. You should have a lot more than just stocks and bonds in your portfolio. Mm-hmm. The thing that we like to look at is that we like to have 3, 4, maybe even 5 lines or areas where we can grow income. We want you to have multiple paths of income coming in so that if one dries up or one's under influence, it could be a lot of different things that's happening out there that your income is not going to suffer throughout the rest of the time frame. So we want flexibility built into that plan so we can take advantage of whatever the market's offering. If the market's down, we should be buying. If the market's up, we should be selling. We know a vast majority of advisors out there aren't even touching portfolios and looking at it for their clients' benefit. That's a sad affair when you think about that. That is their job. That's what you're paying for. That's what they should be doing, is telling you what should be doing with your portfolio. When it's down, hey, let's take advantage of that. And this is how we're going to do it. And they should explain that plan to you before it happens. So when you sit down with them, ask them, when the market goes negative, what are you going to do with our portfolio? If they say, hang on, you might want to just hang on to the door and walk out.
Yeah. And I mean, when we're talking about diversifying retirement strategies, we often do see that many can lean too heavily on your 401k or your IRA, these kind of tax deferred counts, because the risk there is when withdrawals start, all of it is taxable, right? We talk about it being pre-tax. So this is a prime strategy, to create tax-free income buckets. Like Dad was talking about, all these different types of buckets too. So you have options. So we help clients shift money into Roth IRAs over time so they aren't trapped with all of their income taxed in retirement.
For sure. And, maybe because people have been burned by an advisor in the past, or maybe because for the last several years, it's been easy to get by without an advisor. That leads to the next one on the list here, and that's skipping expert help. But I think a year like 2025 kind of proves the value of what a true fiduciary advisor can do for people. This year has been tricky to figure out for investors if you've been trying to do it on your own, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of crazy to me to think that only 27% of people feel confident making investment decisions alone. Yet, too many still rely on maybe what they're seeing out there on Instagram or Facebook or social media and friends and family. So I think the risk isn't just investments like you're talking about, Jennifer, but it's also about the tax planning moves like Roth conversions, the QCDs, tax loss harvesting, what to do in an ever-changing world because the one big beautiful bill came out, right? Yeah. How do you navigate that on your own to know everything that's happening? What does that mean to your tax planning strategy? So it really isn't about picking stocks. It's about coordinating your taxes, Social Security, Medicare, income planning, and we put all of that under one roof so clients don't miss opportunities by trying to DIY it. There might be things you want to hold on to. We totally get that. We will meet you with where your comfort zone is, but we're going to talk about these things just in case you don't have any blind spots.
And then finally on this list, and this one really applies this year, and that is letting inflation derail your strategy. Actually, this one's kind of been a big one these last several years with inflation skyrocketing. You really help people address this through your planning, though, and help them adjust along the way.
Yeah, I mean, inflation is real, but we can control the tax side of that equation. That's how we can help clients stretch their retirement income further. And the thing about it is some people end up cutting back contributions or even pull out of the market entirely when inflation rises. But really, that only locks in some of those losses. So you want to stay invested, but be tax smart and make sure that your plan talks about inflation right from the very beginning, right? That inflation protected strategy to make sure every year as you get older, right? Or more mature, let's say, your inflation, you should have that in every single piece when it comes to your Social Security, when it comes to your income goal. And we put that all in black and white and in writing. So when you come visit us, we've got a series of a couple of meetings as we get to know you and craft this plan. But at that second meeting, you're going to actually have that tangible income plan right in front of you. And you're going to see how we incorporate inflation as you go. Also, how this plan is flexible to make sure that you don't run out of money.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.